You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn connects you with experts from all over the world to help you take charge of your career, your business, and your life. Rap along with us. Visit drjacalyn.com to learn how to become a guest or a sponsor. And now, the doctor is in.
Hello and welcome to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You, live here on Business Talk Radio and social media. I am your host and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, and I am a certified life and career coach. A Better You is lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And boy, do we have some of the best here with us today. Let me bring them out. We have with us Mildred Muhammad, Megan Sandwick, and also Zane Carson Cruz. She'll be joining us shortly. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
It's so exciting. So I thought it'd be great if we had you present who you are, what it is you do, and the value that you bring to your clients. So Mildred, we'll start with you, live from Maryland.
Yeah, live from Maryland. Thank you for having me on the show. I am Mildred Muhammad. I'm award-winning global keynote speaker on the issues of domestic abuse and violence. I'm also a certified professional and personal developmental coach. And what I do is I help individuals or group sessions to move from emotional turmoil into emotional well-being. And you have to understand that, especially in a pandemic, there are so many people that are in pain, they don't even realize it. And so working with me, we will get to the root of the issue, dig it up, understand what it is, so that you'll never have to experience that type of pain again. So thank you again, Dr. Jacalyn, for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Thank you so much. It's wonderful to see you. So, and also I want our audience to know that I work with Mildred and she is fantastic. She does an excellent job. So we'll give out the contact information again for you to be able to reach out to her. And here's someone else I also work with who is truly amazing. And her name is Megan Sandwick. Hello, Megan.
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. How are you today?
I'm doing really well.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. I'm so glad to be here. I was excited.
Especially you're joining us from the West Coast. So thank you for getting up early. So I also work with you, Megan. Tell everyone about what it is that you do and the value that you bring to your clients.
Absolutely. So I'm a strategic productivity partner, and I specifically work with entrepreneurs and small business owners. And what we do is we create productivity habits and processes so that you can take control of your time. And so as we're going to talk about in a few minutes, we all have 24 hours in a day. That's what we have. It is what it is. And so what I do is I help entrepreneurs say, okay, what are you going to do with your 24 hours? What are you going to do with this week, this month? And how are you going to get things done? And then what I do is we create individualized productivity habits so that they're habits that people want to create and actually want to use. And I'm a little bit of a resource ninja, because a lot of times when it comes to productivity, we're not doing things because we don't have the best tools, or we're not exactly sure how we can get things done. And so I'm able to help people automate practices, automate habits. And so really, I'm all about taking control of your time so you can work smarter, not harder. And I do have a couple of packages, and I also individually coach one-on-one with clients. I'm so excited to just be a part of this. So thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn.
Thank you again, Megan. And also, when you were talking about productivity tools, I certainly have been all over the board and didn't realize how unorganized I really was, because I think I'm pretty organized. I'm like, oh no, I need some help. So I'm sure there are other people out there who could use some help as well. So let's just talk about how this show is going to flow. So Megan will present for 15 minutes. We actually have a timer. And then Mildred and I will be watching and taking notes and learning from you. When Zane joins, she'll be doing the same thing. And then afterwards, we'll have a conversation what our key takeaways were. Then we'll have Zane do the same. And we also would love some audience participation, folks. We are able to take live calls on the air. That took me several weeks to be able to do it. So we'd love to have you call in. The number to call in is 609-961-1699. You can call. you can text. When you call in, you will hear the show. And once there's an appropriate time, we will bring you onto the program. You can also engage with us on social media. We are on live streaming now, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. And of course, on Business Talk Radio. All right, Megan, how do you feel? Are you ready to go?
I'm ready to go, Dr. Jacalyn. Let's talk about some productivity. Are you ready for that?
Yes, I love productivity. Don't you, Mildred?
Absolutely. That's how we get stuff done.
That's right. Okay, Megan, I'm going to solo you and I'm going to mute the two of us and I'm going to put up the timer for the 15 minutes.
Okay. So what we want to talk today about is productivity, but in productivity, we want to talk about a specific area, and that is being intentional with our time. As I said just a little while ago when I was introducing myself, when it comes to productivity, it's the one commodity that every human has that's equal. It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter where you live or anything. We all have 24 hours of the day and we all have 60 minutes in an hour. That's all we have. And so what we do with it is what makes a difference for how we are able to get things finished over other people. And so I want to talk a little bit about our intentions with productivity and about how it is that you can take control of your intentions so that you're working smarter, not harder when it comes to productivity. People always ask me, Megan, why do you talk about productivity so much? And part of the reason that I talk about productivity so much is because if we're not intentional and if we don't have a plan, things are just going to happen. And as we've learned in the last year, if things just happen without a plan, sometimes it can get a little stressful. So what I want to do is really look at how can we take some of that, can we take control of our productivity by being intentional and looking at the intentions we set with our productivity. So that's the first thing I want you to do for a minute, is to just think about the intentions you're setting with productivity, the intentions you have and what you want your productivity habits to look like. So this is about productivity habits. We want to be intentional. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have you close your eyes for just a second, few minutes, not a few minutes, just a few seconds, because I want you to close your mind and calm your mind for a second, because right now you probably have a lot of things that are going on and popping off in your mind. So what I would like for us to do is we're going to close our eyes in just a few minutes, and we're going to calm our minds for just a few. So as we're doing that, what I want you to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, and at the end, I want you to grab a piece of paper and pen, phone, something that I'm going to ask you a question and I want you to write down the first thoughts that come to your mind when we're done. So again, we want to talk about intentions. So everyone, if you could just kind of shut your eyes for just a minute and get comfortable, take a deep breath. When we start talking about productivity, a lot of times our minds start spinning. Our minds spin out of control. What we would like to do right now is to calm our minds. Take a deep breath. And I want you to picture a whiteboard or just picture a canvas. And I want you to have that canvas be blank. Take another deep breath. What we're going to be talking about for the next few minutes is what you're going to do with your productivity habits and how you're going to be intentional about them. So as you're getting ready to open your eyes, I would like for you to think for a moment, what do you want your productivity habits and your productivity life to look like? What do you want your productivity habits to look like? As you're opening your eyes, write down the first 4 things that come to your mind about productivity. Is it that you want to be more organized? You want to have focused time for email? Is it that you want to respond to text messages? Is it that you want to have a new project management system? Whatever it is, the answer is not wrong. I want you to write those thoughts down for just a few minutes, and that way you can start there, because intentions start with action. And so now that you've started to think about, okay, here are my productivity intentions, let's talk about how to get there. Let's talk about how do we turn our intention into productivity habits. I'm going to give you 4 tips for turning your intentions into productivity habits so that you can take control of your time. The first tip, the first thing you need to do in order to take control of your productivity habits is you want no self-judgment. There should be no self-judgment, and you need to start your productivity habits with a clean slate. One of the reasons I just went through and had you think of a clean slate, had you think of a blank canvas, is because when it comes to productivity, you cannot be judgment. You cannot judge yourself, and you can't judge or have judgment on what you're working for. So in productivity, like Dr. Jacalyn said at the beginning, we all have thoughts about what productivity should and could be like. The best thing is that it's personalized, and your productivity is the one area you get to 100% be selfish about. It's all about you with your productivity. So it's important to be honest, and it's important not to judge what you're doing. And it's important to say, what will I do? Think about when you were growing up. There were probably some things that your parents had you do, or maybe there were some activities that you had to participate in that you maybe did or didn't want to do. Sometimes a lot of people will say participating in like piano lessons or something like that. When you think about when you have an activity like that, piano lessons or something that you're doing, if you don't want to do it, if you don't like it, you're not going to do very well. And so that's why when it comes to productivity, we need to take the time and be intentional to say what works for us. There are a lot of people that have books, that have systems that work for them. And I say, great, it's important to use those as examples, but then you need to personalize it, because again, your productivity is all about you. I've had clients that say, I don't like project management systems that go red when I'm past the due date, or I don't want a project management system that is organized in such way. My response is always, okay, then let's figure out how to make it work. Whatever you want, it's important to identify, because that's what will make you work. So the first intention, the first habit, and first thing you need to do, the first tip for taking control of your productivity and setting productivity intentions that are realistic, is no judgment, no self judgment, and it's all about you. The second tip is have a daily intentional planning with a daily planning process pays. Intentional planning with a daily productivity process pays. So one thing I recommend to all my clients is, when you think about during the day, there's a lot of communications, there's a lot of things we need to do. Maybe you have a Trello board, an Asana board, Monday.com that you need to look at. You have voicemail, you might have Slack messages, Telegram messages. When you think about it anymore, there's a lot of areas and places that we need to touch on a daily basis. So one of my recommendations to my client is always to start with a daily process. So what you do is you make a list of what are all of the things you need to do on a daily basis. What are all of the things that you need to check? Facebook Messenger, LinkedIn, all of the things, write it all down. And that way you come up with a list and you can start to organize how it works. You come up with the daily process, and you know, when I log on today, I know I'm going to touch and I'm going to go through all of the areas that I need to touch on a daily basis. What this does, intentional planning with the daily process, allows you to trust in your process. It sets up a process so you know that every day you're going to be touching your email. Every day you're going to be checking messages. Every day you're going to be looking at your project management tool. So it's building, again, we're talking about productivity habits. You feel like you're in control when you know what's going on. The best way to know what's going on is to have a daily process. And so that when that pops up in your mind later, did I? You'll know, of course I did, because every day I do something. With the daily process, it's important. It's very, very important with the daily process that it's not time sensitive. Again, think of what we've learned over the last year, right? Think of what we've learned with the global pandemic. One of the things we want to be aware of is, don't say that you're going to always do your daily process at 8 a.m. on a Monday in the morning, because we never know what's going to happen. And we don't want to have resistance then once it doesn't work out. So it's super important to have a process that's not dependent on the day, but you know, once you sit down to start working, there you go. You've got your daily process and you can check. And let's be honest, it's fun to check things off. That will be a good way to make sure you're doing that. So first intention tip is no self-judgment. It's all about you. Do what works for you. Second, intentional planning with the daily process pays. The third intentional planning tip is just one thing and just one next thing. And so one of the things I always say is we need to focus on doing one thing at a time. In productivity, I know that there are a lot of people who have a lot of thoughts on, should we multitask? Should I do one thing at a time? How can I get things done? And I don't want to get into that battle or discussion of, is multitasking good or bad? Because what I look at it is we need to look at the task, we need to look at the time, and we need to look at what we need to get done when it comes to our time, and again, how we're being intentional with it. So as we all know, there are some tasks that we have where we need to focus, and the only way to get it done quickly and with the least stress is to focus on it. For example, great writing a blog. When you're creative, a lot of times you just want to sit down and think about it. Having interruptions and trying to multitask isn't going to work. Same thing with reports or sometimes billing. So what I always say is just one thing. You need to focus on and identify what's the one thing you're doing right now. Again, there are times when you can multitask, and I say that's fine. Just be intentional to say, okay, I'm going to multitask. I'm going to do these 3 things right now, and you're getting them done, and there are things that you're able to do. So what I say is be intentional with what your focus is when you're working on tasks. And I would give you, if you're looking at more information on one thing and how to focus your time, Gary Keller from Keller Williams wrote a great book. It's called The One Thing. And he talks a little bit about your focus and the benefit of that. So again, what I'm going to say is the third intentional tip is just one thing and the one next thing. And so just one thing is being aware of with your productivity and what you're doing. Is it a task that you need to be focused on? Or is it a task that you can do multiple things on? Like sometimes when I'm checking email, I can be multitasking. But again, when I'm writing a blog or when I'm doing a report, I need to be focused. So just one thing. And then the next thing that ties in with one thing is identify the next thing with the task. So when I say this is, so for example, if I'm writing a blog or something like this, there's a lot of tasks that I can't do start to finish just at one time, right? I'll sit and I'll work on part of it and I'll get it to a point and then I need to get it to the next point, right? And so one of the things that I say with whenever you're working on a task and you know you're going to have to pick up again, write down just the next one thing you're going to work on or the next thought process or leave breadcrumbs for yourself. Because when you're working on the task, as we know, it's on our mind. Okay, the next time I'm going to go into this screen and I'm going to click this field, and we've got that in that moment because we're in the momentum, right? We're with momentum. But if we move away, what happens? And so what we want to be aware of is to write down or to leave breadcrumbs. Again, it's helping you to take control of your productivity. So that's the third tip with being intentional with your time is just one thing. Be aware of your focus and what you're working on, and leave a trail for when you pick a task up again. The fourth tip is a focus tip. This is the final tip. And this is one thing that I've found that's super useful, and it's a very tactical, easy tip to start using with productivity. And that is when you write a task on your to-do list or on your action list or anything like that, write down a time estimate next to it. And I don't mean like 8 minutes. What I say, write down time estimates. So what I do is I have my time estimates of this task is going to be under 15 minutes. It's going to take under an hour, under 2 hours, or a half a day. And so what you're doing on your task list is you're writing down and you're putting a judgment time and a range of how long it's going to take. And what that does is that allows you, as you're picking up tasks and planning your day, you know what's able to be done. Again, we talked about that daily process. And with that daily process, what we want to do is we want to stop we want to look at our day and what's going on. If you have 5 hours worth of meetings and you look at your tasks and you have 10 hours worth of tasks, you're working for 15 hours. So you want to be realistic with it. So fourth tip, you want to be focused with your time and add the task time to your tips. So again, we all have 24 hours in a day. Being intentional with our habits is how we're going to get things done. At the beginning, I asked you to write down 4 actions and 4 habits that you want to incorporate into your day or into your productivity habits. So what I would like for you to do is to continue to think of those. Continue to look at what it is that what you're doing with your day, and then think about the 4 things that I said. It's all about you. You get to do whatever you want, no judgment. 2, you want to do one thing at a time. You want to focus on one thing at a time and leave yourself breadcrumbs. You want a daily process, so you know you're checking everything on a daily basis. And 4, you want to leave task time. With those are 4 tips that will help you be able to take control of your productivity. I am Megan. I do have a productivity boost program. If you ever have any more questions about this, please feel free to go to my website, downwithspp.com. And if you're interested in the productivity boost program, we can go through many more things like this. And that is www.downwithspp.com/boost. And that is the program that I am. So what I will say to you again is we have 24 hours in a day. Decide how you want to spend it and be intentional so you're able to work smarter, not harder. Thank you so much, Dr. Jacalyn.
Excellent. Excellent. Well done, Megan. We're going
Really
to chat about your presentation. First, we're going to welcome Zane. Hello, Zane. Nice to see you.
Hi, how are y'all? It's great to be here. You know, I started watching your program, Mildred, the other day, I guess when you had technical difficulties. So I'm happy to see you back on here.
Right.
And your hair, I like it shorter or fixed under.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Jacalyn.
Hi.
Oh, glad to be.
So it's great to have you here, Zane. Zane, do you know Megan?
No, but I listened to her presentation. It was great. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's nice to have those bullet points and to know you need to write down the 4 things, and kind of helps you to focus and to, to be more alert and listen better.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Yes. So what we're going to do is we are going to take a break, and we're going to hear from some of our sponsors. And when we come back, we're going to have a conversation about Megan's presentation and those 4 points that you mentioned. So let's look forward to that. Stay with us here. Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn presents A Better You live on Business Talk Radio and social media. We'll be right back.
Hey everybody, my name is Ralph Graves Jr. I'm the host of the Ralph Graves Jr. Show, and I want to invite you to pick up my book, Unstoppable. I wrote a book called Unstoppable. It's 7 universal laws that will transform how you pursue and achieve success. The one thing that my 20 years of law enforcement has taught me is that no matter who you are, we are all governed by universal laws, like gravity. But in this book, we're going to talk about laws like the law of forgiveness, laws like the law of control, the law of intelligent practice, the law of expectancy. I was able to see how those, no matter what their background was, those who identified and treated these laws with respect, they were able to go on and lead successful lives. So pick up this book, and you can go ahead and pick it up at Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, RalphGravesJr.com, where anywhere where fine books are sold. Thank you.
There are 7.7 billion people on Earth today. 40% of these people are under the age of 25. Young adults are the most fertile mission field in the world today. In Scripture, we see Jesus pouring his life into 12 young adults who he equipped to change the world and all of history. Like Jesus, we believe that the best approach to reach the world with the gospel is to invest in young, emerging leaders and equip them to build disciple-making movements. Concentric is the notion of surrounding and sharing a common center. Our center is the model and strategy of Jesus for both leadership development and ministry formation. As a global alliance, we provide equipping in biblical leadership based on Jesus' example in the New Testament. Jesus modeled for us how to make disciples that reproduce. Focusing on leadership development is key to creating movements that spread the gospel and Jesus' disciple-making strategy to young leaders around the globe. Our ministry alliance partners are actively equipping leaders and building movements of multiplication that reproduce the life of Christ. Join us today to equip young leaders with Jesus' strategy that will change cities and nations.
The session that we had with BCAT was really entertaining and enlightening. We were able to put together some very specific steps that we as individuals can take, and it was really fun to all come together and see sort of where we're going as a team and how we can all get there together.
We had a tremendous experience with the BCAT partners. One of the challenges that we have as an organization is to make sure that we have the right people in the right chairs doing the right thing. To do that well, you have to have synergy. You can try to dream up ways to make sure that your group does that, or you can rely on experts. We would recommend BCAT partners to anybody who's looking to take their organization to the next level.
Academy Sedan and Limo is a full-service transportation company serving the Philadelphia metropolitan area with full knowledge of the New York City, Baltimore, and Washington, D.C. areas. We pride ourselves on being the most dependable, conscientious company in the industry. Our always on-time service and dependable pricing make us the company to call for any event or occasion. Our vehicles can accommodate any size party for any occasion. Our vehicles range from four-door sedans to SUVs to minivans to limo buses to full-size tour buses and can accommodate groups of 2 to 100. We offer airport shuttle service or over-the-road service without limitation regarding mileage or time, and no drive is too long or too far. So if you find yourself in need of transportation of any type with any vehicle, give us a call at 610-842-4564 and let us show you what a real transportation company can do for you.
Use code ACADEMY2020 to receive 20% off your first 3 rides, including parking and tolls.
You're listening to Business Talk Radio, where we take business to the next level.
Hello and welcome back to Rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, live here on Business Talk Radio and social media. This is A Better You, a program that features lessons from the best coaches, consultants, and trusted advisors. And with us today, we have Mildred Muhammad, Megan Sandwick, and Zane Carson Caruth. Thanks for sticking around during the break, guys. I love it. Nobody dropped off. I had some technical problems myself. Okay, so Megan gave her presentation and she gave us 4 tips for productivity. So let's have a conversation about it. Let's start with you, Mildred. What were your takeaways from that?
My takeaways were, I like the 4 points. I like the part about having your own plan, because I always say if you don't have a plan, then you become a part of somebody else's plan. Like the list to when
Daily
you were telling
process.
us to close our eyes, the first thing I thought about was visualization, because the mind doesn't know what's real and what's not. And so when we start to visualize things, then we actually calling it into existence as if it were so, which helps us to become more aware of what we're thinking and how we move about that. I like the daily processes, to write out a list of things, that a to-do list, so to speak. The no judgment was key, I felt, because sometimes we judge ourselves. We are our most worst critic. We can judge ourselves about everything, and nobody else thinks that way about us but us. And so the clean slate, I thought it was right on time, and the timestamp, so that you'll know the times between each task, so you don't feel overwhelmed or I have to get this done, I have to get that done, because that lowers the stress level that especially entrepreneurs go through when we're just trying to make sure we tackle everything in our day. So I thought it was very, very good.
Great feedback. Megan, anything you want to say?
I definitely agree with you. And I like the idea about, and just the confirmation of the importance of visualizing, because I think where we get where I'll say I get myself in trouble with productivity and getting stuff done is I just think it's going to happen. Like, and I just think everything's just going to be on the screen or whatever, and it's going to appear. And you forget that it takes time to set things up. Every part, it takes time. And so if you're not realistic with that and you just think it's going to happen, it's not a TV show where things just appear. So I think that, so important.
Yes, great feedback and viewpoints. Zane, I know you had already provided some comments. Any other feedback you have?
No, I just want to agree with Mildred, and Megan as well. I love the part about no judgment, because if anybody can beat themselves up, it's usually overachievers, because they always think they could have done better, shoulda, coulda, woulda. So I love that part about just no judgment, make a plan, work your plan. I think that's very, very effective.
Thank you. And I really like the idea of leaving breadcrumbs.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah. And as somebody who is a client of Megan's, it's interesting working with her because she's so easy to work with. It's crazy. Like, I'm all over the place. Can we start with the website? Can we go here? We go there? It's just like, and somehow she gets me centered and we get everything accomplished, and things that I had no idea, tools that are out there I never even heard of before that can really help all of us be more streamlined and pay attention to our business or whatever it is we want to focus on. Because let's face it, when you have a business, or if you're writing a book, or if you're going to give a speech, there's so many little details, right, that you have to sort of rein in. And sometimes we get lost in those details, and then we're not actually spending our time on what it is that we really do well.
Sure, that is true.
That is true. And one of the reasons, and when I tell people what I do, they're like, "Oh, you're a productivity coach or a business coach. Do you get your people in trouble?" And I'm always like, well, A, no, because how do we do that? We're grown. And B, yeah. And then the other thing I'm saying is that entrepreneurs are high achievers, overachievers already. So if anything, I'm generally doing the back and saying, all right, now let's take it down a little. Like, do you realize how much you've done? And let's be realistic. And so I think that it's important to give ourselves permissions as high achievers with super high expectations. And I make a generalization. A lot of times entrepreneurs don't meet our expectations. I'm not trying to say everyone's like that, but it can be an econ trait. And so it's one of those things where if these are the things we know, what can we do to help with those? And so that's why I like the productivity space, because it's a very tangible place where you can say, okay, I'm going to do this and this is going to help. This is where I can get started here. I can't control everything, but I can get started here. And so that's why I really like productivity.
Great job, Megan. I'm going to solo you again with your banner, and I added the /boost. So for people who are listening on the radio, how do they get in touch with you and hire you to help them be more productive?
Thank you for asking. So you can reach out to me. My website is downwithspp.com. I do have a productivity boost program that I offer. If you are interested in that, you can go to that at downwithspp.com/boost as well. And you can always email me at Megan@downwithspp. If you ever have a question, like Dr. Jacalyn said, one of the things I think that's hardest about productivity is there's so many resources we don't know about. If you ever have a question, please feel free. You can email me at Megan@downwithspp.com.
Downwithspp.com. I like it. Yes. Okay. Beautiful. Nice job. Well done. Okay, Zane, we're going to have you up next. But before we do, I'm going to play your brand new commercial. And thank you for your sponsorship. Here we go.
Hi, my name is Zane Carson Carruth, and I'm the author of this book, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever.
Reading is magic. Studies have shown that reading to your children lays the foundation for greater success in life. Reading helps develop language and vocabulary skills. It helps improve memory, and it encourages curiosity and inspires creativity. The benefits are immeasurable, and as a parent, you'll benefit too. In only 10 or 15 minutes a day, you'll be creating more memories and a bonding experience that will last for years to come. So take time to read to your children. Read them books about things that engage and interest them. Tales of fairies and magic fascinate children, and as everyone knows, the Tooth Fairy is at the top of the list. If your child loves magic, wands, adventure, and what child doesn't, you'll love reading them books from the trademarked series, The World's First Tooth Fairy Ever. Follow along as Abella, the world's first tooth fairy, accidentally starts the tooth fairy tradition. Learn the tricks of being a professional tooth fairy in the book, Abella Starts a Tooth Fairy School. Your child's imagination will soar as you read the adventures of Abella and her magic wand. These wonderful books are available at worldsfirsttoothfairy.com and at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.
Okay, very nice. Zane, we're going to feature you right now. Are you ready for your 15 minutes of fame? Okay.
Yes, my 15 minutes of fame, yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so we're going to set a timer. And again, it's up to 15 minutes, so you don't have to use all. So whatever works for you.
Okay.
Let me just, here you go. Here's the timer, and I'm going to mute all of us. So go ahead when you're ready.
Okay. Hi. Thank you for joining me today. I'm going to talk to you about the value and the advantages of reading to your children. You know, numerous studies have been done on this, and they all pretty much say the same thing, that it helps form a bond between the child and the parent. It helps the child to feel more important and more love when you have this one-on-one time with them. Besides getting them ready for school, it does things like help them feel safe. It increases their attention span, which is invaluable when they're little kindergarten kids. And it helps their listening skills. And besides reading a story and you see about the cause and effects and the consequences of things, depending on the type of story you read, it just opens the world to children. Now, growing up, my parents did not read to me. That just wasn't part of our life. And I remember one of my friends, I don't know, after I got out of college, she was really, really smart. She was a Mensa member. And whatever came up, she'd go, I'm going to read a book about that, or I'm going to look that up. And I thought, well, isn't that interesting? Well, she's a voracious reader. Her parents read to her. She reads to her kids. And it has proven to be invaluable because it has opened up the world to her, which is exactly what you want to do for your children. You want to give them every advantage you can. And reading is just the very start of that. Like I said, it helps them with their listening skills and with change. Like, say you're going to move and your child is a little bit anxious about it. Well, you just get a book and you read to them about, Johnny moved to a new school, or Johnny started a new school, or Johnny lost a tooth, whatever. It helps the child when they can see the story, they can see the words, and then it gives you an opportunity to talk about it. Because we all know when you talk about issues, it has a calming effect on everybody. So many people say, oh, my child just wants to read the same old book over and over and over. Well, that's a good thing because it shows he enjoys the book, he finds value in it, and he likes it, and he likes reading. So the more books you can find that he just wants to read over and over and over is a real plus for all of y'all. Children learn when they're reading the books about words and sounds and colors and the different shapes. But older children, it starts them on a consequence of action, because then if they like to read about trucks, well, then they will start maybe reading about planes and trains, and it starts this whole exchange of things that they like, and it helps you to figure out what your children likes to do, and it helps them as well. So it's a wonderful family bonding event. And the other thing is that you form memories, and some of the best memories in the world, I think, are when you're feeling loved and secure as a child. I know my husband has talked several times about his mom read to him and his brother when they were in the bathtub. They'd be splashing around and she'd be reading The Adventures of Burr Rabbit. She'd accent her voice and she'd talk in different not languages, but they all had a different sound, each little animal. And they just loved that. And I can't tell you how many times he's brought that up. So there's real value in forming those memories because it lasts a lifetime. Bonding with your children is probably the most important thing you can do. And reading to your children is the first step in that. And I would encourage all of y'all to find out what your children like and get some books about it. Oh, and go to the library. The library is one of my favorite places in the world because everything's there. You could, if whatever you want to read about, it's in the library. You could check out a stack of books. You could check out one book, but I wear my library card out just because of that. And I love to take my children to the library. Well, my grandsons, because my kids are grown now. But anyway, I would just encourage you again to read to your children, find the value in it, and the joy that you will get from the bonding experience and the love and just opening the communications between you and your children. And that's how you can be a better you and a better parent.
Be nice if I unmuted everyone. Sorry about that. We were clapping for you. Yay.
I was talking 90 to nothing, but.
Okay, well done. So the value of reading. Mildred, any comments from you?
Absolutely. I read to my children when they were little. You see my books.
Yeah.
I read a lot. I go to the library on about everything as well. And reading to my children when they were little. Now that they're adults, 31, 27, and 29, right? Whenever they need something, they do research on Google, order that book on Amazon, and they read. So it follows them through their adulthood when you teach them the value of reading. And so I agree with everything that you said.
Well, that was beautifully presented, beautifully said. And you do have a lot of books back there. You can see
I do.
had
I
the
have
three
a lot of books
written.
back here because my thing is go to the library and get a book. If you can't, I mean, and now that they have Kindle and all of these other devices, you don't even have to order a physical book. You can just download the book and read it, and they can take it with them when you're in the car and help them to understand who the characters are and how they affect them and the things that they think, and maybe you think that way too, and what do you feel about this character, and do you think you can do this or that? And so that was good. It also helps with children who have been abused, helping them to understand what is that particular issue that they're dealing with, because there are so many animators that write such wonderful books to help children in trauma. So it's very good. I appreciated everything that you said. And let me ask you something. You keep saying y'all. So where are you from?
Oh,
Because I'm from
Houston.
Louisiana, so I say y'all
Oh,
too, which is
okay.
why
Well, we're neighbors. I didn't even realize I said y'all. Isn't that
that's
funny?
okay. Because we don't say you all. It's really you all, but we just
And
put
we
it in
don't say
one
you
word and
guys
say y'all.
either.
No, we say y'all.
Y'all, it's just y'all.
One word. So where are you from?
Houston,
Houston. Oh yeah, we are
Houston,
neighbors. Yeah.
Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
I grew up in El Campo, a little country town 75 miles southwest of here. So,
Okay. Yeah. So I just wanted to know that you just y'all. Okay, y'all. All right. All right.
That's great. That's great. Thank you, Mildred. How about you, Megan? Any feedback for Zane?
I agree, Zane. Thank you so much. And I think what you made me think about that was powerful in a couple of ways. One is the memories that it creates. I'm an aunt. I've always wanted to be an aunt. And my niece is now almost 20. And so we don't live near each other. So we would read together. We would get the same books and then read
oh, like a
when
book club.
when she was growing up. It was the
Hey.
Barnyard Dance Book Club. Definitely. But it's so funny because recently she was like, "And Maggie, can we read again?" And I was like, "Oh, we could each get a book." She's like, "No, like out loud together." And I was like, well, "Okay, all right."
Oh, I love
Like,
that.
That's good.
Yeah,
mhm.
that's y'all's thing. I love that.
Yeah, I thought it was sweet that it came from her because I try not to be the one that always does, but I think it's
Yeah.
such a good, powerful, like you said, just bonding tool, bonding time.
Yes. Yeah, it lasts a
So
lifetime, as you can see, because your niece is grown now, practically.
Absolutely.
That's great. And, my mom is an avid reader, and I think through this pandemic, that's really helped her
Hmm.
find some way to entertain herself and keep herself informed. She has gone through so many books. We have stacks of books downstairs that she's read during the pandemic, and she's always reading the newspaper. And so I just started. Yesterday we had Diane Floyd Boehm on, and she's also an author, and she did her presentation. I thought, I should have my mom read to me. She's reading all these books, so each night at dinner, I'm going to have her read something to me. So I think that's kind of cool. We played Scrabble last night, but I digress. So that was great. Well, we've actually come to the end of our program, and what I thought we would do is just have each of you. I'm going to solo you and show your banner. But once again, let our audience know how they can contact you and the value that you can bring. I highly recommend all three of you. You are experts in your field, and I'm so glad that you are part of a better you. So I'm going to start with Mildred.
okay.
Go ahead. You're on.
So again, I am an award-winning keynote speaker on the issues of domestic violence, and a lot of people that I help are those who are going through a traumatic experience. We are in a terrible condition where domestic violence has evolved from a worldwide epidemic into a worldwide pandemic within a pandemic. Suicide is up, abuses on all levels are up. If you feel that you need help transitioning through this pandemic, understanding your emotions and how to process them moving forward, you can contact me on my website, mildredmuhammad.com. so that we can start that process. You can also go to myfocusllc.com, where you can set up a 30-minute free consultation where we can decide on which program will work for you and how we can move forward. So thank you for tuning in, and thank you, Dr. Jacalyn, for this time.
Thank you, Mildred. And for people who are watching or listening and they're in a situation where they are in danger, but they're not able to call the police, they're not able to reach out directly. You had mentioned when we interviewed before some other ways people can call and order a pizza and let them know while they're on the phone. Yeah. Can you share more about that?
Yes, ma'am. There is a process now that law enforcement has included all over the nation. Is if you call to order a pizza and you let the person that's listening know that you are a victim, then they will call the police for you. There was one situation where someone called the Disney hotline booking agency, and they were able to relate to them that they needed police assistance too. You can also call the National Domestic Violence Hotline, which is 800-799-7233. And they are open 24/7, and they are able to give you a list of organizations in your area that can help you. So you're never alone. It's never your fault. And we are always here to help you.
Thank you, Mildred. Thank you very much. It's a very important message. Zane, I'm going to solo you and run your banner. How can people get in touch with you? We also did mention this today, but you are a certified etiquette and protocol expert.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
No, you can reach me from our website, worldsfirsttoothfairy.com. There's a section in there where you can ask questions or info, and I can contact you back. I'm always available for readings for school or book signings or just whatever you need, something. And a lot of times what I'll do is I'll donate my books and a book reading. It's a fundraiser. So if you want to do something like that, I'm happy to do that. So just let me know. worldsfirsttoothfairy.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Zane. And Megan, over to you. I'm going to run your banner, but again, please let people know how they can get in touch with you.
You can reach me at downwithspp.com, or you can email me at megan@downwithspp. If you have a lot on your to-do list and you need to reset your expectations so that you can work smarter, not harder, please email me at megan@downwithspp.com. I would love to hear from you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Megan. Well, it's been a pleasure having all three of you here today. I really appreciate it. I'm just going to close out the show, so I will see you backstage in just a minute. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for watching and for being part of A Better You. If you feel you are one of the best coaches and you've got a big following, please reach out to us, drjacalyn.com, and sign up to be a presenter. We are soon launching A Better You University, which is an online platform where we will house your content, your trainings, your workshops, and you can be part of A Better You that way. Stay tuned with us this afternoon. We've got a great show. It's all about dating, and that show is on at 4:00 here on Business Talk Radio and social media, and we always have a lot of laughs on that show. So thank you again for being here. We'll see you hopefully at 4:00 or tomorrow. We also have 3 shows starting at 3:30 with Pet Psychic Amina, and then at 5:00 is our Stories of Hope, Inspiration and Overcoming Adversity, and 6:00 is the Variety Show. Yay! So we'll see you all again another time. Thanks for being here.
nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.